Hello.
Hello.
I was quite concerned when I've read half your message and you were like, I broke my back. And I was like, oh, and then continue. I was like, oh.
Yeah, I was thinking about for a moment, is this too dramatic? And I thought, well, I just leave it like this. People are able to deal with it. But maybe it was too bad. Yeah. So no, I'm totally fine. I didn't hurt myself. It was more sarcastic.
That is good.
But the people delivering the stuff, they're trying to bring this all up, and I said I can help you, and they said, "Oh, you're sure? It's very heavy." And said, "Of course, I can try at least, and try a little bit." And they made fun of me because they, could lift twice as much as I.
That's it, exactly. Every time I've moved house, it's the same. It's like, we go like, oh, watch out for this thing. It's super heavy. And it's like, pick it up. It's like it's empty, like an empty box. So I just don't say anything anymore. Just like, go for it. Okay, so we're at time, so let's begin. So MTTP is looking a little bit sad, but that's to be expected. Actually, from an MTTP point of view, when we went into the PCL last week, we kind of we start tracking again, but we also had quite a lot of delays. So completely expected, but hopefully things will be looking a bit healthier through August, so we can keep tracking that. Cool. Announcements all read only. I will do a follow-up. I'll add it in. I'll see what's already been written and see what we need to add for the 360 feedback, but particularly around kind of like writing feedback. Maybe I'll chat to you all one-to-one about that stuff. So into discussion, and Skarbek, you have the first point.
Before we go into that, maybe it'd be wise to assign the retrospective issue to all of us.
Oh, yes, you always say
like
that.
it's
Yes.
not on my to-do list, so I completely forgot about it.
Yes, thank you, Skarbek. Good tip. I'll do that. And I know you
All
said
right,
every time, so yes, thank you for saying it again.
So pre-prod, there is a configuration change to our charts that I want to push, and pre-prod is failing because of a conflicting change in our CNG image and our helm, where our image has been updated, but it's targeting the 14.2 release. Our helm chart is based off a master, and because there's a discrepancy between requirements here, we lose the ability to say, hey, I need this in pre-prod, but I need to upgrade our application image at the same time. Is there any harm in me deploying a version that's latest of some auto deploy into pre-prod at this moment in time?
I think we discussed this in Slack yesterday or 2 days ago.
Oh.
And I think the outcome was it shouldn't have any side effects, right? I mean, we just put a version there, and if it's not an RC, that shouldn't confuse any tooling. Your cat is talking. That shouldn't confuse any tooling, I guess, right?
Does it so if the QA test will continue to run, but I suppose that's probably a good thing. After that, yeah, I'm not sure. Like, I think if you feel like that's going to be okay in terms of it doesn't detract from any release stuff coming up, any patches or things. I'm not sure quite when do you not use pre now until the monthly prep? Is that right?
Yeah, it's only for RCs, and that's actually my concern is, are we going to have a versioning issue? I suppose not, because I'll deploy an auto deploy version to it, and we're going to deploy 14.2. But is the 14.2 auto deploy branch versus 14.2 some date stamp going to be higher than 14.2 release candidate? That will cause a concern, or that will be a problem when it comes to deploying the RC.
In this case, could we roll back without bigger issues?
What about if we redeploy the 14.1 release candidate onto pre before the 14.2? No, we can't go backwards.
I can't go backwards without bringing down pre-prod. Like this change is targeting 14.2, so it's in some auto deploy package somewhere. It has been for quite some time. It's just that we haven't created. I don't think the fix that this is in is targeted for 14.1 at all. So it wouldn't even get created for a patch release at all. My other option is to wait until 14.2 gets released, but that's 20 days from now.
Yeah, that's probably a bit too far out.
And this is a mitigation thing for web.
I mean, pre being down normally isn't a big issue, right? Nobody is using it besides when we start to work on our monthly release. So killing it right now, if we are sure we can just bring it back up, shouldn't be an issue, right? The question is more if we can bring it up with a targeted version if we need to, but that should be possible, right?
So what if I do this? What if I pick an auto deploy package, send it out the door, and then I'll modify the current 14.2 release issue to say, hey, keep an eye out for pre-prod, because we did something earlier this month.
That would be a nice message. Yeah, but really, I mean, the only concern is if we get into some ordering issue, right, for the tooling that we are using. But I don't see it because, okay, I'm not sure because RC is special, but it's just about comparing strings, right? So if we are able to reinstall pre with a previous RC version, that should be fixed, right?
But again, I can't go backwards. Like once I deploy the auto deploy package and then I proceed forward with the change for the Helm chart, if I attempt to roll back, pre goes down.
Because of database and other changes.
Because of the CNG image not being compatible with the Helm chart.
Yeah.
So like if I go backwards, we'll prevent future deploys because it's gonna, well, is it gonna prevent a deploy? I guess we could force a deploy out. Maybe this is a non-issue. Maybe I'm just overthinking this.
Like force a deploy of what, 14.1?
If like the release candidate, once the release candidate, when the release candidate is ready for 14.2, we need to somehow force that out the door into pre-prod, which should be doable.
Just
because
run chat ops with the deploy to pre with that version. Shouldn't that just work?
Yeah. Like if it doesn't work automatically for X reason, at least we'll know that we can't do what I'm attempting to do in the future. I just don't know how to test this ahead of time. That's the problem. I don't know how to test this ahead of time without wreaking havoc on the 22nd or leading up to the 22nd.
We could always create an RC, like a test RC a little bit earlier, right? Like now it's super early, but we could, like a day or two before the point where you actually would normally create your test RC, we could put one together, and at least then we'd know if it's deploying or not, right?
Yeah.
But also from ordering, right? Numbers are always in a lower order, like come first and then we have letters. So if you have the RC thing, it should be right, I think, even from ordering. So I think we don't run into that issue. Only if our tooling is expecting that the current pre is running something which is ending with RC and trying to compare with that. But I wouldn't envision that this is the case, because why should we?
An alternative is you could get an RC, right? A 14.2. If you had a 14.2 RC, this would be in it, right?
Yeah. So
the only thing around that is, I say the only thing, the stable branch would get created. So you need to just think about whether that's okay. And then the other thing is we just probably need to give Jihu heads up. I can do that just to tell them that we've done that because they pick up our branches. So just as visibility of why we've done it. But as long as we don't delete it, it's fine. Like it's a bit weird if we delete stable branches, but as long as we can create it and just let it live and then just merge the 14.2 release into it, we could do that.
I think that's starting to become a little more complicated.
I'd say do the auto
there's more
deploy,
coordination,
right? I think, yeah. Do you want to try the auto deploy? Like release managers, are you happy with that?
I think we can try it with auto deploy, and I think it should just work. And I think if it doesn't work, we should be able to fix it.
Okay. All right. So I'll do that, and I'll modify the release issue just to add like a few checkboxes of saying, hey, when you're ready to create the RC, just be aware and watch for this and I'll link to the issue in which I'm doing this work for.
Awesome. And
any other
like,
questions?
if it looks like if we're still not sure as we get closer, like we say, we can always cut the 42 RC earlier and test this out and then move on from there. So.
Yeah, I would like to shy away from that if possible, just because that sounds like a management nightmare with Jihu and the stable branches being created too early. So
it's not too bad as long as it's within like it's a bit unusual to do it now because it's like 20 days out. But if we did it like 15th, they'd be fine. They'd be just fine with that.
Gotcha. I think this would be a good exercise for updating our documentation, depending on success. That way we know for the future.
I agree.
So I think
yes.
I'll add a checklist item to add to our documentation pending the results of this.
Yeah, that's a super good
Cool.
one. Yeah, great.
All right. Thanks for entertaining me.
Good luck with change. So PCLs are now complete. So we should be back to normal on pushing out changes and also deployments. We have got the daily stand-up is taking place, and there are kind of lots of people discussing ideas off the back of the PCLs. So we've got a really good opportunity, like if there are ideas you have for how we could make better use of staging or like deployment, or how we can sort of surface things up better, then please do raise them up. I will leave the database changes retro open for a couple of days. Some of the items on there went to InfraDev and they're being worked on. They were kind of things directly out of various incidents. And the other bit that's kind of interesting is Andrew is working on trying to put like a constant stream of traffic onto staging and seeing whether that might give us more realistic alerts, or not realistic, but more usable alerts. So quite a lot of staging alerts at the moment are we don't have enough traffic. So he's wondering if we're actually able to eliminate those with a bit more traffic, and then therefore the alerts become like hopefully more usable. Kind of in line with that conversation, there was a discussion about whether actually we could use our production health checks and apply the same and have staging health checks, and we could just have it as a warning on deployment. But does that sound like would it be useful to be getting more data out of staging beyond just tests passing and failing?
That sounds for me a little bit like we would have alert fatigue very soon and ignore alerts coming from staging, because mostly they wouldn't affect us and they are very random. And on the other hand, today's example shows us we had staging failing since a while and didn't notice, and nobody really didn't care until.
Well, that would be what we'd have to absolutely solve. So I think if we start if we started doing something like this, then yeah, absolutely, we'd have to like change stuff up so it wasn't like that. Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
It's not that it wasn't noted. I think Jarv saw something happening, and I think we also have alerts for staging, but they go into a channel where nobody's looking at because there are too many of them, right? So it's hard to get meaningful alerts out of staging. If we get meaningful alerts like Andrew's maybe, then I think that should work. But before that, it will just end up with people ignoring it again.
Yeah, absolutely, exactly. And that's the thing. We get so many alerts at the moment. A lot of them are the low traffic, so therefore they get ignored, and then they build up and to still get ignored. So yeah, it would be rolling back that stuff and actually getting it. So we have ones we care about, and they fire and tie them to the deployments. So, I mean, it sounds like with some work, it would be possible. Does it sound like, would it generally give people more confidence? Like, how confident do you feel promoting beyond staging?
I think we are covered fine with QA tests in most cases, right? Not always, but they seem to do a quite good job. So I normally don't feel very nervous about promoting staging. The thing is, when we run a deployment and it works, then I feel like, okay, staging should be fine, because it's in most cases it is. Just if something else breaks, like infrastructure or something, then we don't notice because nobody is watching it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and database migrations. That's the other one, is like, unless they break kind of like catastrophically and like it's broken. For something that just causes like a gradual leak or something, we don't catch those. Yeah. Okay, is there anything else you'd like to see happen? Like off the back of the PCLs, are there other things that, so kind of a lot of what was being talked about last week was the fact that we had a number of database like changes failing, and they were failing, like we were finding them quite late on in deployments, like afterwards, in fact, even after production deployments. Is there anything else that you would like in an ideal world like to have in place to help us here?
I feel like most of the things are covered in the discussions around the PCL already, like coming up with a different way of staging, which is more production-like and things like that. A/B testing maybe and stuff like that. I think that was all mentioned in those issues already. So I think most of the important things that I wish for are already covered there.
I have a controversial idea, but I don't know how to appropriately frame this, so bear with me. But if we're under a hard PCL, could we identify a certain set of changes or a certain category of modifications to our code base that might be more risky? Where when we release the PCL, we've already got 500 plus changes backlogged ready to go, but now we're introducing higher risk stuff that would normally be maybe more thoughtfully monitored on any normal day, but because of the PCL, it was just merged, and now it's just up to us to kind of watch for things. I wonder if we could somehow classify certain changes. We could probably say, we're under a PCL, please hold off on merging that to master at this moment. I think that's going to be a very, very highly controversial item, but it would also be something that would be very difficult to enforce and maybe detect. Because I don't know what criterion we would use for that.
Yeah, I think it's a super good point. I think one thing that was interesting was, I think the PCL almost felt like a little bit detached. I mean, I know teams were held up, but it wasn't. It was like very much an inside infra kind of hands-on thing. And whether there's actually more we could do to bring like developers into that and like help, identifying issues or finding ways to test things additionally or something like that. So yeah, I think it's a super good point.
Like realistically, half the company went into, or half of engineering went into a PCL, primarily infrastructure, but I don't know what development teams do during a PCL. I'm sure some of them are probably helping towards some of the stuff that we've been identifying as problematic, but for the most part, they're just going to keep chugging along with their own priorities as necessary. So I think maybe we need to shift some of that focus into, when we're under PCL, we need to steal some of the development engineering time potentially.
I think that's absolutely right. Yeah, I totally agree. Like, yeah, some people definitely contribute. Some people definitely delayed with like feature flags and stuff. But also there are many other people who I'm sure it doesn't really affect, and they can just push code and keep going, right? So, and we don't want to pause absolutely everything, but I agree. Like having a bit more input could help us on stuff. So, let me see what I can do with that one. Hopefully we won't have another hard PCL for a while, but good to plan, ready for the next one. And then since this week is kind of a key week to get MTTP back on track, and we have a security release and lots of incidents going on, release managers, is there anything you need help with this week?
I think finishing up the security release, I would like to work and sync a little bit with Robert, because I still have some questions. I think that would help me at least. I think for everything else, we are fine, I think, as far as I can see.
Okay, well, if you think of things, then please let me know. Great, so Q3. I've added the OKR that's will be discussed in the issue. I've put it as it was into Ali. So you all have access to Ali, but you may need to sign up. It's in Okta, and you can sign up through there. So all the OKR issues will be in Ali from now on, not just for infra, for all the company. So you can cascade those up and down and kind of see what's linked together. So our goal, we have quite a lot of kind of aspects to our OKR, and it's just a single OKR, but the main goal behind it is reliable rollbacks. And we've got like the Kubernetes work tied in there. We've got, we can pick up some stuff around coordinate deployments, as well as like tooling and, making pipelines faster and all of that stuff. But curious to hear all your thoughts, like what do you think is the biggest issue? Like if we were to say, how can we make rollbacks more reliable? What's the one thing that springs to mind that we should be tackling in Q3?
I think time is what comes to my mind. Like, when do we do it? How do you coordinate with the fact that everyone is working on features? No one wants us to go backwards. Like that, realistically, that's what it primarily is. I don't know what we would do to solve that, though.
Are you thinking about specifically like production for that one, or like staging as well?
I don't care about staging. I was just thinking about production.
The week after,
I do.
Sorry, I was just going to say the week after self-managed release, like after 22nd, there's usually fewer changes getting merged and stuff like that. Maybe that would be a good time.
Yeah. Okay, so like scheduling is quite key. So we talked in previous month about when we're trying to do this so that we could be ready to redeploy straight afterwards, but we didn't manage to fit that in. Okay, cool. Well, I'll say I've got a bit of work to do today, tomorrow, just to get the epics. We've got our work kind of split across quite a few epics at the moment, which is fine. But what it means, I'll pull the issues together, add them into the build board, and we can pick from there. But certainly, everything we've been working on through Q2 contributes hugely to this. So I'm not expecting a great direction shift at all. Awesome. Robert, over to you.
Yeah, so I just wanted to discuss quickly this security AMER. I won't go into details because we're still in the recording phase, but there's a need to invalidate the markdown cache, which has previously kind of had big impacts on performance as the cache is updated in the database. So I don't know if we need to kind of coordinate this change as a lone commit. It sounds like kind of no matter when we do it, it's not going to matter because it's just like the first time an issue gets hit, it's going to have to regenerate that cache. So it doesn't really matter if we do it during a quiet period, because if no one's hitting it, then it's not getting updated anyway. So yeah, I don't know what to do about that.
Yeah, I think there's one suggestion from Andrew and an issue attached for fix
to
prevent this canary and production ping pong first, which maybe should be implemented first before we merge this at all, right? Because as we will see this even more happening in production. And I didn't see it this morning to be finished. So I'm not sure if we will get this into the current security release at least.
Okay, that's a good point.
But I mean, after that, we still would have the issue like unforeseen performance impact of merging this over the day. Yeah, but there's no way to just do it, right? I mean, I'm not an expert in how it's to fix this at least.
Yeah, I don't remember what happened last time, but I'm pretty sure we just have to like grit our teeth and get through it until the database gets updated.
It might be worth checking in with reliability and the engineering call on that, because I mean, like worst case, if we get it wrong, like I assume that this is quite a bad sort of like performance experience, like user experience.
Yeah, basically anytime Markdown is parsed for the first time, it'll be slower, and then it converts the markdown to HTML in the database, and then it's cached again and happy.
I'd say let's coordinate with the engineering calls about how we want to handle this. Like, I guess it could be a change issue, or I'm not sure. Like, I think we should look into our options there. It doesn't sound like something which we should just push out and hope for. Like,
it's just a little bit concerning, because if somebody just approves this and sets the bot assigned, right, then it will just happen to end up in an auto deploy, I think, and it's hard to notice, right, if you're not careful with that one.
yeah, exactly.
Perhaps since we've got Andrew created an issue to help address this, I wonder if we can make a dependency on that being fixed first. It's got the infradev label.
It will not fully address it. It will not fix it. It will just improve it so that we don't flip between Canary and production. But we need to invalidate the cache of all HTML pages once to get the security issue fixed. So we need to go through this, even if we improve it, which we should wait for, I think, anyway. But after that, we need to do this anyway, and that will have impact. So maybe, yeah, I mean, preventing that somebody is just assigning the bot and it lands in an auto deploy is one thing. And the other thing is, I think with a change request or something to roll it out, I think that would be the right way to do that and assign people to that.
I mean, I suppose from a self-managed user's point of view, this does need to be something that gets committed, right? And then it rolls out. But I assume it's a bit of a risk for self-managed as well, right? Like people with big instances, like it could impact, right? Okay, let's see what we can do. Let's discuss, maybe discuss on the issue how we can deal with that. But let's get the engineering call involved as well, because as I say, they're likely to see things if it happens, I